What's going on, everybody? Back again for another It Starts With Me. And got a great guy here, a CEO who has just been doing amazing things, Jeremy Torisk. You're going to love him. I'm going to tell you right now, and there's a lot to be learned from him as well. First off, let's go ahead and take care of some of the house rules, right? Please remember to like us, comment, share, subscribe, hit that bell on YouTube so that you know when we're starting. It Starts With Me airs every single Wednesday at 12:30 Eastern. All right, you'll be able to catch us, and we'll be here with great interviews from successful business persons, CEOs, entrepreneurs, founders, and people who are transitioning from one point in life to another point in life and have managed to do so successfully, to bring you that positive, motivational, encouraging type of content that keeps you wanting more. All right. Now, also remember, we have a program on Fridays. Every single Friday, we do the Community Beacon. Myself and my co-host, Michael Seville, we're working this thing out where we continue to provide a program where people can come and learn how to set their mindset free so they can achieve the highest level of their potential and then even excel. So you'll want to catch us every single Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. And then again on Monday, Mike is doing his Motivational Monday. All right. Mike is dropping down and out so many gems of information, understanding. He is the business mogul. He is also the real estate king. Please check him out, 9:00 p.m. every single Monday. What's going on, everybody? Hey, listen, before we continue in this episode, have you checked to see if you've subscribed yet? You need to subscribe. Come on. If you like these videos and you're enjoying what you're watching, then it's about time that you go ahead and subscribe. Maybe you haven't noticed yet. Check now. Did you? No? All right, go ahead. Hit that notification button, subscribe. It helps YouTube to know that you like our content. All right, see you on the next one. Peace. Now, without further ado, I want to bring to the front Jeremy. Jeremy is awesome. He is a proactive mindset, with his proactive mindset, but he also helps to help people with their proactive mindset. But his proactive mindset took him from a homeless kid, right, digging ditches, to a C-suite executive. That's what I'm talking about. Change, y'all. Operating national utility construction companies, which consistently generated revenues of $30 to $60 million annually. I mean, just think about that, right? After 30 years in the industry, he and his partners sold their company, which allowed Jeremy to shift from building his own legacy to helping others build theirs. And now he is teaching other people how to do what he's done and that much more. Listen, y'all, let's bring to the front. Let's get ready. Jeremy.
Howdy, everybody. I love it, baby. It starts with me. It started with you coming off like Russell Simmons, right? Little cousin Joel with that cool hat on. I love the studio, man. And thanks for that great introduction. I appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely, Jeremy. Thank you, man. Thanks for being here with us. I definitely enjoy like the backstory that you have. I was watching the pre-interview with you and Anna, and man, you are just like fired up.
Yeah, always. And I imagine if I got more than 3 hours sleep every night, it'd be scary.
Is that what you're doing? Are you operating off of 3?
Yeah, about 10 years now I've been doing 3 hours. I used to get 3 hours in a row, and now it's even less. I go to sleep around 12. I wake up at 1:30, go downstairs, and then I do some stuff. And from 4:30 to 6, I do another hour and a half. So split them up. But listen, there's a lot of science coming around that says about 90 minutes, a couple 90-minute cycles throughout the day actually works. So I'm in good health. People always freak out about my heart and everything, but doc says I'm fine. I'm going to keep on doing what I do.
Man, that's interesting. So tell me, because I was actually looking at an interview with Kobe Bryant just a few days ago, and I don't remember who was interviewing him, but I remember Kobe was talking about, the 4 o'clock club, you know what I mean, and how he would go out in the evening and he would shoot those last few buckets, because many people think, oh, well, you just get great by, going out, working out on your shot for a couple of hours every day. But Kobe was doing it maximum. I mean, he was going 8 hours, 12 hours, and then that was just like the physical piece.
Yeah.
There was also a mental piece that he was doing as well. I mean, he was destroying it.
Yeah. That's what it takes, though. I mean, really, when I was homeless, like you mentioned there, and digging ditches, I had a very low self-esteem. I come from a house of drug addicts and alcoholics. Later in life, 2 of my brothers committed suicide, so they never got over it. My family is not that great. My mother is 71 years old. My dad's 71, and they're still struggling because they just never kind of came around to that mindset. They just always stuck into the whatever they went through as kids. And they passed it down to the family, and that's what happens. But me, I got lucky, and 2 times in my life when I was 20 years old. So at 17, I left the house. I'm done with this craziness. I choose homelessness, right? Couch surf for a long time. There's a little bit about I joined the Marine Corps, but I couldn't go because I didn't have a high school diploma. I just had a GED at the time. So what happens, though, when I had one of those mindset shifts and I was digging ditches, I was living in a friend's garage, like a converted garage, no car, no bike, thinking this is as best as it gets, right? Just this is my lot in life. And because I was told that. I was told I was useless, told I was stupid, dumb. I fought 1,000 street fights growing up, so I was short-tempered and, all this stuff. And I just thought it was it. But when I had these mindset shifts, 7 words changed my life forever. And I started coming to work happy. Even though I was digging ditches, even though I was walking, taking 2 buses, it wasn't the end. I thought it was the end. It's just the beginning. And so what happened was, as I started progressing through that company and getting promoted, I was the first one in, and I was the last one to leave because I had 22 years to make up for mindset. And I couldn't do anything. It took me a long time to learn things, and I kept messing it up, taking 3 times as long to do any task that any other person would do. And so I just had to keep continuing on myself, believing in myself, but being the first one in, the last one to leave. If you don't have the talent, and you don't have the charisma, and you don't have the charm, you better have the gumption, because that's what Kobe did. He had all that other stuff, but it didn't come right away. He worked on it for hour after hour after hour. And where he divides and splits from all of us mortal people is after he became great, he doubled down and extended his hours, where most of us, when you make it, you start a family and then you pull back and you do less time. And we all do that, but not the greats, not the Colbys. And if I was like Kobe, I wouldn't be probably sitting here right now. But if I wasn't like myself, I wouldn't be sitting here, and I wouldn't want to be anyone else right now than where I am talking to you.
That's deep right there. I mean, just opening up, man, just opening up. And I love that. I absolutely love that, because too many times we look at other individuals and we're like, oh, look at that lifestyle. And we desire to want that lifestyle. It's like, oh, the riches. You see, oh, he's in a Bentley. Oh my gosh, every last one of his suits are $5,000 and $10,000. You know, if I just put the shoes on, it's like, listen, what did they do to get there? You see the now, but you don't know the how.
No.
And I think that's the powerful statement. And what I heard, one of the things that I heard out of the many gems that you just dropped was that you're glad that you are you and that you pulled through. You realized something inside of yourself and you became the Kobe Bryant of your business, of your life, even greater. You became the Jeremy Torisk of your life, the real deal.
Yeah, and one of my pet peeves is when all my dad was Italian, so I had 22 cousins and a lot of 7 aunts and uncles and everything, and they always say, we never would have guessed, right? Who would have thought Jeremy gets it? Jeremy's successful. Jeremy's doing all this. We never would have thought. You know what? That's your problem. You never thought it. Your mind is too closed. But when I had that mindset shift at 20 years old and then another one at 22, trust me, 7 words, and the people that said it never even knew they changed my life. When that happened, I cut all those people out immediately, in a second. I never talked to them ever again, except for huge things, funerals and weddings, right? And then I'm like cordial. right? Because I have to be, because I'm a loyal person to my dad. But I don't allow that negativity in my life. And I don't even let anyone near me that says, look at you, I'm proud of you, but who would have thought? No, you should have thought. You should have had my back when I was a kid, because who knows where I'd be? Who knows where you could be if you could think that way about yourself? Because when people say that, they really don't think anything of themselves. So they put that mirror outside and they don't think anything of anyone. So watch those words. When people say that, they're not giving you a compliment. They're telling you more about themselves.
100% agree. 100% agree. And although there's still some more things that I love to explore, I noticed that you set that bunt up a few times. Yeah, that bump set. And so let's go ahead and let's spike it, man. Let's hear it. Come on. Tell me about the 7 words.
Oh boy. Okay. So 7 words happened 2 times in my life. And I do write about it in my book, Labor to Leadership. By the way, a little plug there. That was my first book that I wrote. Dude, I'm dyslexic. I'm ADHD. I usually tell people, have you ever heard of ADHD? Well, I'm 100 HD, all right? I'm off the charts. So writing a book was nothing I planned. It happened during COVID, and the family had a meeting. I traveled 10 years, 45 weeks a year. I'm never home except on the weekends. And my kids are old. They're not around on the weekends. So when I was stuck in a house with them for 2 months, after 3 weeks, we had a family meeting, and they said, Dad, we don't work for you. Stop telling us what to do. All right. So I had to find something to do, and I started writing my stories down. So that book is like half story of my life and half how I lost a really good business by not understanding how business works, how all the business elements work. All that I started was a business was something I was really good at, but I knew nothing about marketing, sales teams, and HR and payroll and marketing and recruiting. And all I did was run a great business because I was doing everything. So the 7 words, though, that I write about in that book, though, I'll tell you about the first one. If you want to know the second one, because that was another bombshell, I'll tell you that first one. The first one was my grandmother was an alcoholic, like everyone in my family was. My sister had gotten married. I was 20 years old, flew to Delaware, first time I was ever on a plane. My dad and mom had blown up. My dad was remarried, living in South Carolina. He drove to Delaware to the wedding. After the wedding, I get home, called my grandmother. I'm home. Everything went fine. My grandmother was drunk, and she's like, I can't believe your dad's ex-wife, or your dad's new wife, Joanna, she just ruined the wedding. And I said, well, I didn't hear anything about it. Wedding was fine. She's like, no, she ruined the wedding. She kept on telling everyone how they shouldn't even be there because, ready for it? Paulette and Jeremy aren't even Ronnie's kids. And that's how I found out I wasn't my dad's. But I was relieved. I was shocked. In a minute, I hung up the phone, and there's a story in the book about how I was transmeditated back to 8 years old, and my sister told me that same thing when we were kids, and I totally forgot about it. She was right, but she's deaf. She can't hear, so she used to pick up on things that I never did. But when she did that and she told me about that, my grandmother, I was happy because, remember, I was digging ditches. I'd always been told I was nothing. I thought I was, and I knew I was nothing. And I was released. I had potential now because I didn't know who I was, but I had to be better than what I've been told I was. And so that changed my life. And then 2 years later, there was another 7 words from a total stranger, talking about stranger. And that's in the book. And that second one told me how I was smart. It made me believe that I was smart. So I've had some pretty weird things that I chose to take as signs for positivity and moving on. And it's done nothing but change my life every day since then. And it happens a lot. I see a lot of curtain moves. Have you ever heard that say, God, just pull back the curtain just a little bit, it'll make you peek when you're in doubt? That happens to me a lot because I look for it.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. In the words of my buddy, my best friend's Mike, that was dope.
Bam.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, man.
Yeah. And, I think I got them right. Paulette and Jeremy weren't
even Ronnie's kids.
Even Ronnie's kids.
I don't know why we're here. Paulette and Jeremy aren't even Ronnie's kids. All right. I was like, oh, damn, fire. It was a shock, just.
Yeah.
But it ended up being, fine. My dad's still my dad. He's my best friend. 71 years old, and we talk a lot, and, he's my dad. That guy raised me. They were drug addicts and alcoholics and horrible parents, but, whatever. It's the only ones I had at the time.
Let me ask you this question, because I would gather that many people still don't understand how much of a bomb that was.
I mean, it was pretty big.
How long has it been since that statement has made you cry?
You know, I cry at Publix commercials. I cry at Rudy. You know, I cry, I cry at a lot of little stupid things. But you ever watch?
I love this dude, yo. I love Jerry. I love this dude. This guy is legit.
Yeah. But the big stuff I don't cry at, man. You remember Pulp Fiction when they blew that dude's head off in the back of the car and he's like, why am I a brain bit dude? You're the one that shot his head off. You get back here and pick up these brain pieces. Well, I did that from two of my brothers, right? To protect my family from the horror of removing brain matter from, the front porch. Because my brother, both of them did it right in front of my family, like one in front of my dad and the other one in front of my sister and her daughters. So that was my brother-in-law. So I got to the scene, one of the first ones, even though I was in another state at the time, hauled ass, got there, and then just took it upon myself. Because cops, if you don't know this, cops don't clean up crime scenes. Firemen don't clean up crime scenes. So I took it upon myself to do that because when I was in high school, I had another friend do that, and I did it for his mother. And so it wasn't the first time. And it wasn't, when I did it the second time, the third time, I have a shield of armor. So I tell you, I was in cable, TV, phone systems, fiber optic, huge builds for many, many, many years. When I go to hurricane-ravaged islands like Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, and it's nuts, and people don't know what to do. Time slows down for me. That's when I get calm, and I can see things. That's when I go from playing checkers to playing chess, and I can see 12 moves ahead like a grand champion. Those types of things don't make me cry. Women loves don't make me cry. It's the dumb stuff, like I was talking about. That's the emotional stuff that, that gets to me. A really good joke will make me cry, meeting somebody, a man or a woman, and just feeling, I got a book called Standing O that I'm in. It's the third book of 3 that's for charity, and they invite different authors to contribute. And I wrote a story called Thank You, My Brother. And it's, how you open the door for someone and they go, oh, thank you, my brother. And you go, yeah, no problem. It means nothing, right? You don't know the guy. But when I say that, it means a lot, and you don't know it. But you just did something to fill a little spot where my brothers used to fill. And I say, thank you, my brother. It means more to me. Like when I meet someone and they fill that spot, and I said, thank you, my brother. Boy, I got to, turn around. My eye gets sweaty, like it's hot in here or something. That's the kind of stuff. I'm more of a happy emotional. But the real tragic emotion stuff, I put on that suit. I could turn it off like a switch.
Yeah. Has it been like that for you always? I mean, is this something that you just grew up, like say prior to 17 years of age?
Yeah, it's a survival because I was, I had a lot of uncles visiting. Let's just say that. We had a lot of transient coming through the house, a lot of parties. And so a lot of guys used to wake me up wrestling, with something hard in their pocket, like, what the fuck is that? Sorry, what the heck is that? I'm a little 7-year-old boy and this dude is trying to wrestle me, trying to wake up, little buddy. And, yeah, you know what he wants, but, so those things, those situations make you hard, very young, and I never went to school. I didn't do great in school. I did very, very bad in school. ROTC and drumline, I did good on, but all the other stuff, I was a mess. I was a rageful mess because I wanted to kill everybody. And that's why I got into over 1,000 fights. And I got expelled from school a few times because, when that happens, you're trying to protect your sister and your little brother, and you feel helpless when these people are manhandling you like that. Now, I never really got really badly hurt and molested too bad, just like that kind of stuff happened a lot. And it grosses you out and those kind of things. Like I get angry, thinking about that, but not like sad. I don't get sad. I just get kind of angry because that's just my MO.
Yeah. Yeah. So with your emotions, these emotions that you closet, that you just kind of like pack up and like store it away, you found a different way of utilizing that as energy.
That might be.
Recycled them.
Yeah, it might be. It might be. But I'm very blunt. Do you know where you stand with me? I know where I stand with you. We're cool or we're not. And if we're not cool, I don't interface with you. I've always been the kind of person where again, it's survival. So when you have to survive and you're on the street, you get real good at kind of getting, you don't get psychic abilities, but you get like intuition, So I meet people, I can read a room pretty fast, pretty fast. And I know if I meet someone, if they're the real deal or they're not. And I've been disappointed before. I've been surprised before. It's not perfect, but you know exactly where you are with me. And so as far as those emotions do, I don't really hold them back. If I'm happy, I'm happy. The great thing about me, and this is because I get all my stuff out, I got really great blood pressure and stuff, but I never ruin a day. If I get mad, bam, it comes out, I scream, I yell, maybe I throw something, but I'm done. And I hear a song or I eat a sandwich and I'm happy and I'm good. And I know I not got to apologize or fix a wall or something. I've been that way my whole life. It's gotten better. I don't do it quite nearly as much as I did in my 20s, my 30s, my 40s. It gets less and less. But even to this day, I'll get really mad at something and yell, but I'm getting it out. And now it's done. Right? And then you go, Dan, don't I feel stupid? Because that was dumb. I wouldn't even remember telling you something I got mad about 10 minutes ago if it happened, because that's how little it is. But I really do. I just let it out.
That's powerful. That's the power of being able to let something go, and so many times people, they take emotion inside and they take it in and they reserve it in their own power plant. Man. And so what ends up happening is they end up ruining themselves. They end up hurting themselves. They end up harnessing and then harvesting that energy. And when they put it back out, it comes out so odd, so strange.
Yeah.
It comes out so fierce and so discoordinated. And before you know it, it becomes a part of their natural life. They can't even separate what they've received from someone else to themselves, to their own selves. They've allowed that to amalgamate.
Yeah. The good news is, though, each and every one of those people can change. Maybe not overnight, but they can change, because I did it. And I'm telling you, nobody was as lost as I was. Luckily, I wasn't on drugs. Luckily, I didn't drink at the age of 20. A lot of my friends did. A lot of my parents and their friends, I saw it a lot. I had literally people freebasing back in the 1980s, that was freebasing, the big thing. Crack was really big in the 80s. I grew up down here in South Florida, so it was Mecca. And right in front of me, my friends were doing crack. And they would just say, you shouldn't do this. And most people would say, here, do it with me. I was very lucky. They should say, you shouldn't do this. And I never did. So I don't know that I would ever have gotten that message to myself if I had put myself in that additional weight on my shoulder at that stage. It wasn't me. I was just very angry and I used to fight a lot. So that's something that was easily, conquerable. It was that anger that was in me. But because I wasn't on drugs, because I wasn't drinking that much at 20, in fact, very little at all, I was the protector. I prided myself on protecting all these people who were always drunk and high and stoned and couldn't protect themselves. So if you were around me, you were safe, and they knew it. And it's still that way to this day. I would take a bullet for a stranger in a second. That's just the way I'm built. It's just, there's no getting around that.
Yeah, you're a superhero.
Well, far from that, but I can look at myself in the mirror, and I think that's pretty super.
I love it. All right. Humility. Awesome. Listen, what was it that caused you to desire to truly know yourself and then to begin to tweak these little things that you thought were too much?
Honestly, it was, and I hate when I say honestly, liars say honestly, but when I look at it, and I got to say honestly, because I don't know if this is quite it, but I hope it is, because it makes for a great story, but also I really do hope that in my heart, I did it for these reasons. So in my heart, I think I did it for these reasons. I hope I did it. It was to be a better example for my children, and it was to stop hurting the people in my life. Even though I had good friends, I was very destructive. I used to get mad, like I said, all the time, and just always start fights, and I just ruined a lot of situations because I just would, blow up. I didn't want to be that way in front of my kids. And when my kids came, I still was very angry. You don't get over that in a couple of years. That takes a lifetime. So when they were small, I just tried to work very, very hard on it, and I didn't always succeed. But, I ended up hurting relationships with women in my life. My wife, my ex-wife, my kid's mom. We're best friends, really, really good friends. Her husband is my best friend, one of my very closest friends. Because again, if you're in my life, I love you. And if you're going to be my kid's wife, I better love you. My kid's life, I better love you. You better be really good. And he's a gem. I love him. And so that tells you that I messed up that relationship, but I did it in a way that I could salvage our friendship. And so we were always close to our kids growing up. I was in my 30s when that happened, so late 30s. So 30s and the 40s, I was with women and just hurting them left and right because I just wasn't very mature yet. And so it wasn't until I was, early 40s where I finally started really knowing myself, where my kids were old enough to, you really had to be good for them. I lost a business at that time, which talked about humility. You lose a business and you lose everything. And I still was doing much better than I was as a kid because I knew I could do it again. But financially, I was zero. I was ruined. And it took about 3 years to repair myself from that. So humility will also have a way of making you grow up and start over again. The good thing was I had a head start. And so when I lost everything and I had to be humiliate myself and ask for help, it wasn't that hard. I did it. I just did it because you're going to say yes, you're going to say no. And if you say no, you're going on my list. And I have a long list. People said no. And then if you said yes, you're on my other list. And I got a long list of people who said yes, and they're on that list. And that list, these people here on the yes list, I was able to do a lot for them over my time and I'm not going to stop. I'm going to continue doing for them. And the ones that said no, I just simply cut them off. There's no reparations. There's no hate. There's no anything. It's zero. You're a zero. When I needed something and you weren't there, if you could do it and you didn't do it, if you couldn't do it, I understand that. But, I just very separated that you lose all your money, you're going to find out who your friends are. And I had pretty few. There came out to be pretty few of them. But growing myself again was a very unique trip because I learned a whole new skill set on sales and on marketing and all this other stuff that, again, I'd lost the business because I didn't understand that. And I was put in a position to learn all that stuff from some really big people in the industry, Mike Aronowitz and James Flynn and Benny Abood. These are really big people in that space, and I worked right for them, and I was promoted really fast. I met my wife because she was cutting hair in the executive bathroom. They brought her in and cut hair, and I was a director, and she cut my hair, and we met and kind of hit it off. So I wouldn't even be with my wife right now if it wasn't for having to take a job answering phones at a call center after losing $200,000 a year and paying myself after losing a business. But that humility will bring you up, and those people that believed in me and used to promote me every 3 or 4 weeks until I got up into the stratosphere of that company, those guys are on that list. I needed that, and they were there for me. But when I started learning that stuff, again, the call center people come in at 9 and they go home at 4, and then the other shift comes in at 2 and they go home at 9. I was in at 7 and I was going home at 10. I would open that door and I'd close it. And I did that for 3 years. And that's how, that goes back to Kobe, I had to start over. And that means getting there first and leaving last and asking questions and saying, oh, how do you do that? How do you do that? Have you thought about this? Would this work? And not being ashamed or afraid of saying, I think there's another way to do that. What do you know? Well, I don't know, but I have a different perspective than you because you're doing it the way you've been told, but I'm seeing something different because I also have success in business and I know people, and business is business. So they allowed me to interject my perspective, and we built a very good business over there for those 3 years.
That's powerful, and I mean, kudos to those that were there that, took you in and allowed for you to be able to move like that, because sometimes people have such large egos that they don't want to see someone else be successful because they feel as if it's going to hinder them. But obviously having you there actually made them look even better.
Yeah, one of them is Michael Aronowitz. He's a big guy, still really big in the sales space. I had him on my podcast a couple weeks ago, as a matter of fact. I forget, it's probably episode in the 20s or something. Michael Aronowitz, he's huge. He works for a multinational conglomerate, billion-dollar sales conglomerate. I mean, and he runs, he's VP guy. He's a big deal in that space. We're still friends to this day, and that's because you're exactly right. I tried my best to make him look good, and I asked him questions, and I listened very closely when he spoke. Everybody did.
What's your podcast so guys can check you out?
So that podcast was called the Go Procast, for going proactive mindset. Mindset is change your mindset from from reactive to proactive. But that podcast is pretty much on hold. There's about 60 episodes you can check out. And I interviewed a lot of people, business owners who had to go through adversity to get to where they are. So it's good for that. It's always going to be there on YouTube and all the podcast platforms. But I switched about 3 or 4 weeks ago to a live stream show to where we do a Dave Ramsey style call-in show now. And it's called Get Down to Business with Jeremy Torisk, where I come on and I tell people how exactly they can fix their business. What's wrong with your business? My phone number is listed on the top, top of the, the picture there, the overlay. People can just pick up the phone and call me, 954-338-9799. And I'm the business treasure hunter, and I help people with their business. We just talk, whether it's sales teams or marketing or lead generation or how to read a P&L or how to make more profit, how to make more generate more revenue, upsell, downsell, cross-sell, bundle, how to hire right, how to onboard, you name it. I've experienced it. I've got many businesses under my belt. Lost them, built them, sold them. There's nothing in business I haven't done. And so now what I like to do is just help as many people as possible. And so I have a coaching business called Atlantic Business Coaching. All I do is help business coaches go get clients, and I help business owners one-to-one. I have a couple of my own clients. And I go around the country speaking to big, giant groups and big different organizations about how to get your business to do better. And then the people come up and they say, can you help me? And I say, yes, I got a coach for you. And I try to feed those people to my coaches. That's what I do.
I love it. I love it, man. Talk about giving back. So I picked up, I think it was on two different things that you had mentioned in answering that question about how you really began and how you began to learn yourself, because I think that was really important. And one of them, one of your burning things was you wanted to be a better example to your children. And I think the other one was that you wanted to stop hurting others, or you wanted to kind of like protect others. Did I get those two right?
That's right. Yeah, I'm a born protector, and I was hurting more people than I was protecting as I got into my 20s and 30s, and I was being selfish and just not paying attention to how I could help people, but I was taking too much. When you take too much, that mirror becomes a funny mirror, like a clown, mirror, like a fun house mirror, and you start seeing things a little differently, and they're not that way, man. And so I started thinking people were after me and people didn't like me, and maybe it was true, but it didn't matter, because every time I went somewhere, I excelled. And when I went and got, hired back into Comcast, you got guys punching clocks for their whole entire career. And I came in here like, as a contractor, let's go, we can do 5 times more. Let's just go, let's get out earlier. Well, that wasn't way to win friends and influence people at all. So, man, that set me back years on relationships out of that place. And I made up for it over time. I mean, over time, I'm still friends with a lot of people from there, but ended up becoming a very, very quickly promoted in that place too, and ended up running all of South Florida, $47 million upgrades with, 87 contractors and employees under my charge. And we did it, over years, about 6 years, we rebuilt this, and we did a great job and really good friends out of that. But it didn't start off very well, because I was looking at me. What can I do for myself? How can I give it a better? No, what can I do to help you? Like Bob Berg, the Go-Giver. That book changed a lot in my life, where I started always thinking about, if I can help as many people as possible, anything that I ever will want will be there. If I want something, it'll just be there. That's that curtain opening. It just does, because all I do every day is go out and serve.
Yeah.
One way or the other.
Yeah. Powerful statement. There's a scripture that reads, cast your bread upon many waters, and in not many days it will return hence.
And it's true. You can't look for it. You can't do anything for money. When I started, I wanted to be a professional speaker. I was making a lot of money, and I had asked somebody for some advice, Steve Noodleberg, and he said, why do you want to do it? And I said, well, it seems like interesting being on stage. I have a story. I wrote my book, and it came out. It was pretty interesting. And he said, he said, do you need money? And I said, well, of course I need money. And he goes, well, then you can't do it. You can't do anything for money. It will never work.